Okay, we are live. Okay, three, two, one. Oop. Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Security, as seen on the in30.net podcast, netcast, webcast network. Today, we want to talk about security theater. I don't know if you've heard of what security theater is, but just in 10 seconds, it's just the idea that this set of security is going to stop the world from ending. Obviously, we have 29 minutes and 45 seconds to fill, so we're going to bring in Tom Webster to really explain it.
Howdy, everyone.
Hey, Tom.
Well, security theater. Probably the easiest way I can explain security theater. It's something just about everyone has dealt with or at least heard about. Security theater is the idea that there's a set of guidelines or rules or a piece of technology or a set of people or guards that will make sure everything is completely secure no matter what. And if we didn't have this in place, the world as we know it would come to an end. The biggest example I can think of, and really one of the best, is the TSA. We've seen time and time again where people can either A, make a shotgun out of things that you buy behind the security checkpoint, or B, sneak on weaponry or bombs or what have you, all kinds of banned items onto airplanes. And the TSA has no idea, and their policies aren't doing really anything to help us. So if you want to think of security theater as a bunch of wasted effort for very little or no payoff at all, think of the TSA. That's exactly what it is. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do on your phone or on your computer or to your network that sounds really, really good and sounds really, really secure, and you have people talking up a storm about all kinds of security products and devices that don't actually do anything. So we're going to get into a couple of those and tell you what to watch out for.
I was going to say I've never dealt with the TSA because I only fly El Al, and El Al has their own TSA, and they're actually really good. They ask me what I ate last night, and if you don't say something Israeli, then they ask you the harder hitting questions. But I could just say bagel and lox, and then they say, okay, you're one of us, and you can just walk through. And there's no pat down, there's no backscatter machine, there's no nothing like that. They just put you on the plane. Now with El Al, they don't put you at the gate. You have to go downstairs, take a bus out to the tarmac, and then they roll out the red carpet, and you have to walk up. But
Oh, that's kind of nice.
So it's a security measure that everyone hates, but you've never heard of a security breach anywhere that involves El Al.
Yeah. I've heard that at least, in airports, Israeli security is actually quite top-notch, and that the U.S. could learn a thing or two from those guys.
Well, I mean, you have the idea that on every plane, this is El Al, they have an armed, plain-clothed, uniformed Israeli military. They don't have $14 an hour or $10 an hour TSA guards. They have actual army psychologists going on, or forensic scientists studying for clues and behaviors. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They racially profile. And they don't lie about it. Of course they racially profile. So, but then again, you never had an injury sustained on an El Al flight.
Yeah, which is kind of impressive.
So, but yeah, security theater, that was just more of the physical thing, but there's a whole bunch of websites, there's a whole bunch of other online things that you should really pay attention to.
Yeah. And it goes beyond scam. They're trying to grab people that are specifically looking for security or a place to put files or a hidden area on their phone where they can put pictures at that no one would be able to get into unless they had super powerful government password cracking computers. And the majority of those things are going to be bunk. They're going to be stuff that they're just looking for you to pay $2 or $3 for an app, and it doesn't actually do anything, which we recently saw in the Android store. we recently saw a an antivirus, a security application that purported to be, the greatest thing since sliced bread. It was an antivirus. It protected your phone from everything under the sun. It scanned all your apps. It made all of these wild, ridiculous, incredible claims. And it was, weren't they charging $1 for it? Wasn't it like
No, I
$1?
think they charged $4.
Oh,
$4.
$4. So, which, in the Android market, all the iOS people are saying, oh, yeah, no, $4, that's fine. But in the Android market, you see stuff that's, maybe $1, maybe $2. $4 is really pushing it as far as price in the Android market. But it shot to the #1 spot in paid apps. Like, overnight. It was nuts. So, a security company took the APK. Of course, they weren't encrypting their APK, which you can do, so people don't decompile your app and steal your source code, or try to decompile your binary back into source code. So this company decompiled it, and they said, yeah, this actually doesn't do anything literally. It's got a background, and it changes color when you hold a certain spot. That's literally the only thing contained in this application. It wasn't even a hard decompile. They didn't even try to hide what they were doing at all, and people paid $4 for this. Eventually, it was removed from the Android marketplace, but man, that got a lot of people.
And by the way, just as an aside, it was created by Deviant Solutions.
Yeah. Have you heard of those guys?
Not like Norton or McAfee or Lookout, by Deviant Solutions. And yes, it beat out 3 or 3s, which a Doctor Who thing, which always goes to the top. Minecraft.
It beat out Minecraft. Now that's impressive in and of itself.
And they actually, the link in the show notes from Android Police has basically all the source code in there, and you can't read source code. It's basically 80 lines. 80 of them and most of them are either opening or closing braces and nothing else.
Yeah, it literally does nothing. And there are tons of products out there. I would like to plug a podcast that we both listen to, that we both know and love. It's definitely more technical. So if you're really into the tech side of security, give this guy a listen. It's Steve Gibson on Security Now on the This Week in Tech Network. It's a great podcast. They were looking at password managers for your phone, wasn't it? Or was it file lockers? They were looking at something like that.
Password managers. Okay. I mean, we're going back years and years ago. But before we get there, this virus scan, and I just want to go about how to stop yourself from getting caught. This virus scan app, this is going back to like the 1st of April 6th, as the article points out, when this came out. But we just want to point you. So Android has its own malicious virus scan. What it does, and I don't exactly know how it works, but it takes this signature from your developer code and checks that. So if you do something bad, it hurts you as a developer. So you're going to have to create a fake developer account, pay the $25, and as soon as someone does it, Google goes right on and drops the ban hammer and makes sure that people don't get infected. They'll pull your app. They'll pull it from people's phones even, I think. I think they can do that. But this app really did nothing. Google pulled it down. But it goes back to showing you, when it comes to virus scans, nothing on the App Store, absolutely nothing, is doing anything more special than using the signatures found with Android.
Yeah.
So unless an app is doing something other than scanning your app, like Lookout does, like find your phone or something else, or it finds those push ad annoyances, it's not doing anything special for you.
So let's explain in a very easy way how antivirus works on a computer. On a computer, you can write a program to do anything. It's basically unlimited, and it's really, really close on the phone too. Except apps are sandboxed, which means it's really hard to look at them and see what they're doing. Apps on the PC, at least most of them, aren't sandboxed. So what you do, an antivirus will watch your computer. If it sees, so take CryptoLocker, for instance, the thing that locks up your files and encrypts them and makes you pay a large sum of money to decrypt it, or else you'll never see your data again unless you're backing up, which you should be doing. So an antivirus says, hold on, wait a minute. Looks like this thing is touching a large amount of files of these types very quickly. Let's take a look at the executable that's running. And then it scans the executable and says, oh, wow, I know what that guy is. That's a CryptoLocker variant. And then it shuts it down. It does what's called heuristic scanning. It doesn't look for a blacklist or a signature only. It has those components, but it doesn't only do that. It looks at behavior. It looks at what is the program trying to do on your computer. On Android, that's not really possible unless you are at the system level, unless you are at the root level of the operating system. You can't really do that. And Lookout Security, McAfee, Norton, name your Android antivirus. The only thing they're doing is they're using Google's Bouncer block list. There's a thing Google developed called Bouncer for the Android marketplace. You don't get this on the Amazon marketplace or any other marketplace. What Bouncer does is it's literally just a blacklist of known bad applications. And it does a little bit of scanning when you're getting into the marketplace, a little bit of heuristic scanning on an APK if it's not encrypted to try to see, okay, what's this doing? But the only thing these antivirus companies are doing is quite literally using the block list that Google's developed and probably maintaining their own block list to prevent you from installing something on your phone. The easiest way to keep yourself safe on your phone is, the box, and you might not even know it exists, and that's a good thing. There's a box that says allow unknown sources. That allows you to install a program from anywhere. You can download stuff off the internet and install it on your phone. You don't have to go to the Google Play Marketplace. So if you check that box, you can install anything. If you don't check that box, you can be reasonably assured that the Google Play Marketplace is going to be mostly safe as Google makes it, which is honestly really good.
There's one caveat to that, and that's the Amazon App Store, which requires you to uncheck that box for the first time. So
Right.
you have to. So if you install the Amazon App Store on your phone, go back through those settings. It's under Settings, under Apps, and then I think that's how you get there. And make sure you check back the Do Not Allow. You have to do it once for the Amazon App Store, whether you like it or not. You have to do it, and then from there you can turn it back off. Which again we recommend, because if you get an app that says, oh, this only works if you turn this off, I would be really hesitant unless you absolutely know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I've gotten a lot of flack in the past for telling people that Lookout Security, McAfee, whatever phone antivirus, Android phone antivirus, is a 100% complete waste of money and time as far as an antivirus solution goes. I've gotten a lot of flack for that, and there's definitely people on both sides. But I'm telling you, from a technical perspective, they're not doing anything that isn't being done by Google already. Now, in the case...
Hold on. It's under Security. This is in Settings, under Security, which you should go there every once in a while and make sure. But under Device Administration, Unknown Sources, and Verify Apps. So uncheck Unknown Sources and check Verify Apps.
Yeah. So in these phone antivirus companies can also add some really good value-add stuff. For instance, Lookout Security had a Find My Phone feature. And a lot of people bought it just for the Find My Phone feature. And that's fine. That's great. Just understand, when you buy something like that, it's nothing more than a blacklist at this time. It doesn't actually do any heuristic scanning. It doesn't do the things that big antiviruses do on your computer.
And look, I bought Lookout for exactly that feature, and then Google released their Android Device Manager, which if you haven't looked at yet, absolutely turn it on. It will find your phone, and it's free, and it does the same thing. So unfortunately, both Apple and Google are taking developers' features for better or worse, and are trying to integrate it for the masses to use. And the developers either have to pivot, adapt, or they're unfortunately going to go out of business. But what
Right.
can you do?
You see a lot of security companies and really a lot of security theater companies um, play up the fear. They try to make you scared. They try to make you worried about your data, worried about hackers or viruses or the thing you love and care about, the thing you rely on using, going away or being destroyed or hacked or taken over in some way, and they try to play on your fear instead of playing up the actual technology that they use. You see this in big antivirus companies, you see this in small antivirus companies, you see this in companies that release stuff like registry cleaners, which is a really popular kind of, it doesn't really fall under security theater, it definitely falls under scam. Where they'll say, hey, look, it's only like $50 and we will clean your registry, because if you don't clean your registry, your computer can explode and you will lose all of your data, which isn't even remotely true. But keep an eye out. Try to look at the marketing, see what they're trying to do, see what they're trying to sell you. And if they're just playing on your fear, chances are they're not going to be a good company. Chances are that product probably isn't what it's chalked up to be. Same with these password managers. There's a lot of password managers on Android that say, oh yeah, we lock everything behind a master password and you can't ever see your passwords unless you unlock this app, and we use 8 different types of encryption layered on top of each other. And on Security Now, they did an analysis of a lot of these, and they said, yeah, like 2 of them actually encrypt anything, and 1 of those did it badly. So, take that for what you want, but LastPass is always a great option, and they have a mobile app, and you do have to pay for it. So you're not the product.
And other than LastPass, if you want to use KeyPass or
Yep.
1Password, read about it. Read the reviews. Read what actual people have to say. Don't read the, oh, it does. It stores my password and it does it. Let people hammer on it and see what happens, because
Yeah.
that's what happens. What they did is, and I'm linking this in the show notes, it's Security Now 347. So we're going back quite a ways. We found out that, yeah, the encryption was, if your phone was encrypted and you put a password to unlock your phone, and you may have typed a 4-digit PIN code to get into the app, then you broke through 3 layers of security to get to this area. But turns out it's just stored in plain text that anybody with a USB cable and an ADB command can download.
Yep.
So it just falls under security is hard, but marketing and wrapping it in prettiness is easy.
Oh yes. And we're going to see a lot of companies, and we've already started to see a bunch of companies pop up ever since Snowden did the NSA leak. We've seen all kinds of VPN providers pop up, people promising complete and utter security, autonomy from the U.S. government. We've seen people selling all kinds of security snake oil that promise to, well, hey, if you're running XP, but you have our software, you're going to be completely unhackable, and the NSA will never, ever, ever track you. And the only thing they're doing is they're A, charging you $60 for a program, and B, selling all of your browsing data to marketing lists and capturing your email address. We're starting to see a bunch of this kind of stuff. It goes from, just crapware and adware that takes all your data and gives it to the highest bidder, all the way to completely malicious, where you're looking for a security solution and the software is actively selling you out. You mostly see that targeted towards certain political or religious groups, mostly in times of turmoil. So in Syria, this has happened with people trying to use certain instant messengers. There are add-ons that people can get that completely encrypt all the traffic. Actually, what it does is it ships off their ISP information and any identifying information on the computer right to the government so they can get arrested.
Well, yeah, and you have to be smart about that. And I want to shift gears to password security, which recently has come into under scrutiny with Heartbleed and everything else. But what we've seen is that you all know this. You go to the website and they ask you to create a password, 16 characters. So you put your 16-character password in, and now it says, oh, we need a special character and a letter and an uppercase. And you go, but wait, it's 16 characters. That should be long enough, or 8 characters. And what you end up doing is you put in your first name, the year, and your last name. That's security theater. The website is trying to make you put something stronger, but you're so frustrated. Instead, you put the easiest thing you can think of, and that defeats the whole purpose of what they were trying to get you to do.
Yeah. So how many of you, if you work in a corporate environment, how many of you know people or do this yourself? And if you're doing this yourself, please stop. Please, please stop. Put for your password your last name with the first letter capitalized, and then the short version of the month, and then the 4-digit year, and that's your password, and you change it once a month to the next month, and then when the year ends, you change it to the next year and the next month. And you just keep incrementing like that. Or you use a common base word, but you keep adding 1 every time you have to change your password. And certain companies are wise to this, and certain companies will stop this if you try, but enough of them are out there without those types of security measures that's it's a huge problem in the corporate world, where you can just try, well, I'm going to try Webster May 15, or Webster May 2015, or 2014, or 2013, or whatever the date happens to be, and you'll get in, 20% of the time. It's a huge problem. And instead, we're starting to rethink passwords. We're starting to rethink, okay, well, what actually makes a secure password? What's a computer really, really bad at? And it's uncommon phrases that are really long. Those are hard to crack. They're harder to write word lists against. And as long as you don't use the word password 4 times in a row as your password, you're mostly okay.
I sent Tom last week a thing from Stanford. So Stanford's password policy was interesting. 8 characters. Your password has to be at least 8 characters. But if you're going to have 8 to 12 characters, then you have to incorporate special cases. If it's 12 to 16, they drop the special characters. 16 to 20, they drop the upper one of the others, the numbers. And greater than 20, they say do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show. Yeah.
If you have a 25-character password, you can use all lowercase. That's fine.
And so the correct horse battery staple would actually work, whereas under these draconian rules at your company, they would say, oh, you don't have a special character in there. And then, of course, now you're mad that you have to find the exclamation point and hit shift and all this other stuff, and you go from there. So,
and then you type in password with a capital P, 01, exclamation point. There's your password. There you go. And then it'll work for 99 more times.
And unfortunately, yeah, or at the local courthouse by me, they tell everyone first name, month, last name.
Yep.
And people actually follow this. The other one is, and you know this one, is the image at your bank. Please describe the image that you see on the screen. And I don't know what they're called. It's like security icons or something.
Yeah.
And of course, the trumpet is always going to be the trumpet. It's never going to be anything but the trumpet.
Yeah, so Yahoo started this, and it was an interesting concept. I'm not sure of its effectiveness. I'm tempted to say, yeah, that no one cares, no one's going to pay attention, because it relies on the user to actively be involved in their security. The idea was, if you make an account, you choose like one of 10 pictures, like everything from a clown to a baseball. And it says, okay, well, this is going to be your security ID picture. And if you go to the login page and you don't see that picture that you've chosen, you know you're on a different page and someone's trying to scam you. In reality, that I don't know how effective it is. I don't know if someone, every time they log into a Yahoo phishing site, if they're going to actively be looking for the picture of the clown they chose.
Well, after you have to enter your username, then you have to hit next, and then they ask you for your password. So you have to move your hands off the keyboard to the mouse, then put it back on. You hit next, then you think you're an account. Then they ask you your security questions. So again, you're doing this back and forth, and then finally they show you this picture, and you're so frustrated that you're just frustrated that you say, fine, whatever. It looks like a trumpet, or it looks like a baseball, or it looks like a soccer ball, and you put it in, and you're never going to figure this out because every 6 months they change some security measure that just keeps you in limbo, wanting just to end. Just get me to my account.
Yeah. Which brings me to another great point about passwords. We need to start, as the security community, as the community of system administrators, password policy architects, and even users, we need to start demanding this. Forcing people to change their password every month or 2 or 3, that can cause people, and it's been proven, it's been shown, that if people know that they have to change their password really, really quickly, they're going to choose a password they can increment easily, either by putting the name of the month in it or by incrementing the same password over and over again. But they're like, oh, wait, no, I changed this one from a 4 to a 5 yesterday. Okay, I'll just do monkey 5. Cool, okay, I'm in. And they keep reinforcing really bad password habits by forcing people to change their password so often. So maybe the key is, maybe we don't change our passwords every so often. Maybe we do it every year or every 6 months. And the constant argument for this is, well, what if somebody gets your password? How will you lock them out and prevent them from getting to your stuff if they steal it? But honestly, if somebody takes your password, unless they're a stalker, they're not going to sit on your account for 2 entire months before they do something. If they wanted to grab your password and steal data, yeah, you've got like 2 or 3 days before they get what they want, max. It doesn't help at all that you can lock them out after a month or 2. They're not a stalker. They're not going to sit there watching your account, unless you've got one of those hackers, but those guys are so incredibly rare, and you're probably being stalked, with binoculars at that point. So hopefully you would notice.
Well,
but
yeah.
Do we really need to change passwords this often?
Well,
I don't think so.
As a plug for hopefully the end of the month, we want to bring back on John from YubiKey to explain what they're doing with the FIDO Alliance and how they want to stop the whole idea of passwords and do something what they call zero knowledge proofs, which just involve not knowing the password, but knowing how to access your account without the password.
Yeah.
And it's a little
really
complicated,
cool idea.
But yeah. And we hope that he can explain it way better than us because he's on the forefront of it.
Yeah. And he's going to be great at taking this really big, complex, cryptographic thing and throwing it out in a way that, you could probably, hopefully, explain this to your mom or grandmother and have them get it. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to his, concise, nice, easy to understand answer because I'm having trouble boiling it down myself.
So anyway, that's our time. We got to go. And I guess we'll see you next week.
And stay away from those security theater apps.
Yes. Have a good night, everyone.
See you
Bye.
guys.